Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Reincarnation for All. I Can Amplify Everything. Chapter 96. Dean, is the credit elimination system really going to be implemented? Once the credit elimination system is implemented, I am afraid that many students will be dismissed from the school. Is this really no problem? Dean, I think the school's previous system is very good. It allows students to practice independently. The level of personal achievement should be their own decision. Will our excessive interference affect the growth of students? In the conference hall of Saint Laurent Institute. Now the 7th level mentors of Saint Laurent Academy, as well as directors of various places, have appeared here. All revolve around the same problem. What changes will the implementation of the credit elimination system bring about? Some people advocate the credit elimination system, while others advocate the stocking system, so that students can grow themselves and understand themselves, and they do not advocate the credit elimination system. The credit elimination system was jointly discussed by the universities and the Orthodox Church. On the long table of the meeting, Pushusi took the lead, and said with a serious face, "The past free-range training is no longer in line with the current era. Didn't you find that since thousands of years ago, there have been fewer and fewer people who are superhumans of our race? Even now, most of the students who have left the university have studied in various universities for a few years for the sake of false titles, and then returned to their respective families to participate in some air struggles, or to be addicted to power. There are very few truly self-motivated transcendents. So even if the colleges and universities do not implement the credit elimination system, our Saint Laurent College will implement it. Cultivating waste is not the original intention of Saint Laurent Academy. Our original intention is for human beings to stand upright on the Saint Laurent continent forever, to be equal to all magical races, and even surpass them." Understood, Perseus said seriously, looking around at the many mentors in the conference hall. "I hope that you can focus on the survival of human beings, instead of strengthening the magic race that has been eyeing our human race. But we are still standing still, or even regressing, returning to the weakness of ancient times." We get it. Listen to what Perseus said. The mentors in the conference hall were all solemn. Every sentence of Perseus is undoubtedly not criticizing the current transcendence of the human race. The younger generation of transcendents all tend to enjoy themselves and compete for power. But few people can pay attention to the status of human beings, and they are stared at by the creatures of the major magic races all the time. After all, the former masters of Saint Laurent continent were the high-ranking magical races that are still alive today. Once the human races stand still, or even make no progress at all, these races will not care about the fiasco of the past, but will completely suppress them like hungry wolves. Destroy the Terran. There will never be a chance for human beings to stand up again. It will be exterminated. For the sake of the life and death of human beings, I will trouble everyone." Perseus got up, and Katerina beside him also got up, and the two said solemnly to the instructor present, "A new war of gods may be about to start, and many ancient evil gods have also awakened from their eternal sleep. According to the investigation, there are also signs of evil gods' activities in Bedram and Ladea in the kingdom of Catala, and the Slaria Mountains in the kingdom of Silver. Everyone must pass on the torch for the survival of the race." Quote. A new war of gods, is it about to start? Some mentors narrowed their eyes slightly when they heard what Perseus said. Every time there is a battle of gods, there are gods who fall, and new gods take over, but the gods return. Many races also died in the battle of gods. The once top sacred dragon clan, the Titan giant clan, began to weaken because of the outbreak of the war of gods, but they are still the pinnacle of the Saint Laurent continent, and many races surrendered at their feet. Compared with these two top upper magic races, the rest of the high-level magic races, and even the human race, were more or less greatly affected by the battle of gods, and even ancient high-rank magic races fell in the outbreak of the war of gods. If the human race does not have a fresh and powerful supernatural being born, perhaps there is no need to wait for the division of the upper magic race to eat. It will also disappear under the outbreak of the war of gods. The beginning of the war of gods is uncertain, but the awakening of the old evil gods may be a symbol of the coming of a new war of gods. Perseus said very seriously. The university has noticed that many unknown ancient evil gods are waking up. Following the words of Perseus, it fell. In the conference hall, there was no sound, and it seemed to have fallen into eternal silence. Everyone was a little dazed. The awakening of the evil god is undoubtedly a sign of the future of the nightmare. Inevitable, inescapable. Everyone, encourage each other. Mutual encouragement. Compared with the heavy atmosphere in the conference hall of Saint Laurent Academy, Su Hao and Huang Qingyi, who had returned to the castle, felt extremely relaxed. Your treatment is really good. Is this a genius? In the castle, Huang Qingyi said jokingly. You are not far behind. A deputy dean is your teacher. Not many people can enjoy this kind of treatment. Su Hao sat down and opened a book about the principal analysis of the birth of the source of magic borrowed from the library of the Saint Laurent Institute. On his desk, there are other related materials, as well as the life seeds of the knights. Data of these. They are all information books that Su Hao found in order to try the symbiosis between the seed of life and the source of magic. Do you think I look like someone who needs a teacher? Huang Qingyi puffed up her lovely cheeks and said angrily, if it wasn't for that Puxius who arranged Katerina as a teacher for me, maybe I could still do it. A free student, experience the student days again. Then you can refuse. Su Hao said mercilessly. If I refuse, the relationship will be broken. Huang Qingyi, who paid the money, smiled, but her tone didn't care about the relationship. Relationships in the reincarnated world. The moment they finish their reincarnation mission, there is no relationship anymore. Really useful interpersonal relationships are all in the reincarnation world. Also, what do you think of the credit elimination system of Saint Laurent College? Yes, it can mobilize the learning atmosphere in the school. As long as you are a self-motivated person, I don't want to be kicked out of the school. Su Hao closed the pages of the book and said without thinking. It's a reform. I think that these high-level forces in the Saint Laurent continent may have discovered something. They want to use the credit elimination system to force students to speed up their cultivation to cope with the upcoming situation. I think so too. Huang Qingyi nodded in approval. You said, could it be because the Church of God established by the two of us was discovered? Chapter 97. No matter what the situation is, it means that in the next time, the Saint Laurent continent will usher in a great change. Perhaps, this will be a good opportunity for us to frantically review reviews. Then tell me, how do you do it? Huang Qingyi blinked her beautiful brows and stared at Su Hao. Under Huang Qingyi's expectant eyes, Su Hao said a word silently, practice, you become stronger, and you are eligible to review comments. Do you still need to say that? Huang Qingyi rolled her eyes, and got up angrily. I definitely know that cultivation is the only way out. I'm going back to my room first, you should read carefully. Huang Qingyi didn't know what was wrong, so she left the castle's study room, leaving Su Hao alone, concentrating on the books on the table. Looking at Huang Qingyi who was leaving, Su Hao could only give a wry smile, and quickly put his eyes and focus on the book in his hand. He's going to be there during this time. Find out how to make the seed of life and the source of magic symbiosis. In addition, there is also the need to improve one's current cultivation. Then cultivate the other 4 elements to become a real all-round mage. Is everything ready? Bishop, we have all prepared the Lord's sacrifice. In a dark and damp basement somewhere, dim lights 577 flicker. A few figures in black robes with their faces covered were talking. They used hoarse voices, making it impossible to tell whether they were men or women, and it was also impossible to see clearly what kind of face the person in the black robe had in the dim light. In front of them, there is an altar with a height of half a person. Above the altar is a statue of a god holding a baby, crying and laughing. The statue does not distinguish the specific gender, but the baby in the arms has empty eyes, as if the deep darkness is devouring the human heart. The eyes of the gods seem to be crying and laughing, and they seem to be pitying all living beings, but also seem to be mocking all living beings, treating all living beings as ants. Let people bring up the sacrifices, and be ready to welcome the coming of the Lord. Among several figures in black robes and long clothes, the tallest one stared at the remaining few in black robes and long clothes, and said orders. This time, we want to let the Lord be born into this world, change the dirty rules, overthrow those high-ranking nobles, churches, and universities, and we will make the rules of the new world. Make the rules of the new world. Listening to it makes my blood boil. Yeah, I can't help but want to celebrate. Stop talking about this. Hurry up and bring the sacrifice. The tall figure known as the bishop scolded. Several men in black robes listened, and Nuo responded, and walked towards the other end of the dark and damp basement. God, it's just the end of being a tool man. Don't blame me for being cruel if you dare to fight against Tianshan Temple Su Hao. The tall figure looked at the statue in front of him, with a deep killing intent in his heart, and the figure under the black robe revealed a familiar face under the light. The golden armored general of the Temple of Heaven. Feng Yuan. Last time, the strength of a demon king couldn't deal with you. This time I took away a god, can you still escape death? Under the black robe, Feng Yuan thought sadly. In order to kill Su Hao, he followed him into the reincarnation world again. This time, in order to kill Su Hao, he directly chose to seize a living god. Speaking of it, as a fifth-order reincarnator, Feng Yuan is not enough to win a god from the Saint Laurent continent. That is already a powerful existence beyond the fifth-order reincarnator, and may have the strength of a seventh-order reincarnator. But this time, it wasn't just for Feng Yuan's personal hatred. There is also the Order of the Temple of Heaven. This time, in order to kill Su Hao, the Temple of Heaven did not hesitate to spend a lot of resources. Not only did Feng Yuan come to the Saint Laurent continent, but he even gave Feng Yuan a copy of the reincarnated person who is proficient in the way of the soul. She talisman. Under the use of the talisman. As long as it is a creature within the 10th rank, it can be seized. But the requirement must be that the strength of the user must be at least 2 levels weaker than that of the robbed creature. In order to find a matching existence. From the first day Feng Yuan appeared in Saint Laurent continent, he was preparing and searching. Finally, he locked his eyes on the evil god of the statue in front of him. Bishop, we brought it here. At this moment, behind Feng Yuan, several men in black robes chained a group of young women and children in a long line, all of whom were women. They are all young women under the age of 30 or 40, and there are even girls aged 16 or 17. Let's get started. Welcome the coming of the Lord. Feng Yuan said blankly. Hear Feng Yuan's order. The men in black robes also smiled sinisterly. Then, in the eyes of the terrified young women and children, they grabbed a girl, and at some point a shining dagger appeared in their hands, as if the death scythe, ruthlessly cut across the girl's jade neck. The bright red blood is like a blooming rose. Another black-robed man used a vessel to hold the bright red blood oozing from the girl's wound, and then splashed it on the statue. At this moment, the god statue bathed in blood seemed even more sinister. The crying and smiling eyes seemed to have the illusion of being alive because of the blood bath. No, don't kill me. Let me go, please let me go. I don't want to die yet, I don't want to die yet. Don't kill me, don't kill me. The girl's blood was bathed in the idol, the moment of death. In the basement, the young women and children, who were chained and controlled, uttered hysterical fear and struggled in terror. It seemed that at that moment, the air was shaking because of the screams one after another. But the cultists who were performing the ceremony showed no signs of paying attention. Even, the screams of these young women and children can bring up the killing in their hearts and the joy of thirsting for blood. Feng Yuan next to him didn't stop him either, and there was only chilling fear in his dark eyes. As the golden armored general of the heavenly god temple, he has experienced countless times of reincarnation and death, and he can't feel the slightest pity for the death of these creatures from different worlds, as if they were crushed to death. Like the ants. Let them scream and scream. As long as the goal can be achieved, no matter how many people die, Feng Yuan does not feel that there is anything to be sympathetic to. Move faster. Feng Yuan's heartless voice urged in the basement. Following the massacre of followers of the black-robed evil god. The god statue soaked in human blood seemed to become more and more alive. Especially at this time. In Feng Yuan's eyes, there was a flash of brilliance. But at the same time, he was also silently chanting the honorable name of the evil god in front of him, praying for the god's response. Chapter 98. The heir of the evil god was born. In Saint Laurent Academy, Puxius and Katerina looked at each other solemnly. In front of them, there is a transcendent wearing the armor of the church knight. The extraordinary man's face was heavy, and he said in a hoarse voice, "We don't know whether he is the son of the evil god, but what is certain is that this person possesses the power of the evil god, and we have already lost several supernatural beings at the mythical level in the sanctuary. All the supernatural beings at the mythical level in the sanctuary have fallen. What about the demigods of the church? Why didn't they show up? Perseus said in a deep voice. Katerina beside her also looked at the extraordinary knight. Generally, when a strong man in the sanctuary falls, there will be a high-level transcendent who will come forward. However, this time, several myth-level transcendents in the sanctuary have fallen one after another. Does the Orthodox Church have no angels or even demigods? The situation this time is a bit special. The extraordinary knight explained. All the extraordinary angels and above from the major churches were transferred away at the same time, and we only learned about it after we discovered the heir of the evil god. So, do we need to come out this time? Perseus stroked his chin. Yes, I came here this time to hope that the Academy can send out a few demigod-level transcendents to help us suppress the evil gods. Now, many human cities have been slaughtered in Saint Laurent continent. And, according to our observations, that heir of the evil god seems to be looking for something. What he was looking for seemed to be hidden in the human city-state. In addition, we have sent people to contact the other universities, and at the same time asked for the support of demigods and transcendental beings. Okay, we will arrange it, and we may go there then. Perseus nodded in response. That's troublesome, Dean Perseus. The extraordinary knight paid the knight's salute heavily, and thanked Perseus, Katerina said. It's over. The extraordinary knight resigned on his own initiative and left Saint Laurent Academy. As a transcendent of the Orthodox Church, after clarifying his purpose to Perseus and the others and getting support, he will return to the Orthodox Church immediately and report to the bishop and others in the church. And in the Orthodox Church, the top positions are generally divided into bishops and archbishops. On the archbishop, there is also the pope who is directly in charge of the church. But now in the Orthodox Church where even the demigod level has been transferred, the Pope, who can be called the Church's #1 extraordinary person, has disappeared without exception. Only bishop-level church personnel are responsible for the operation of the church. Down here, the church also has teaching staff who hold different positions. While maintaining the operation of the church, it monitors the safety of every human city and cleans up one after another of the followers of the Church of Evil Gods. Perseus, I always feel that this incident of the heir of the evil god may have something to do with the major churches of righteous gods. How long has it been since we decided to implement the credit elimination system? Half a month. In half a month, a suspected heir of the evil god appeared, and the demigods of the major churches disappeared at the same time. After the extraordinary knight left, Katerina said with serious and questioning eyes. As one of the vice presidents of Saint Laurent Academy, she must take the importance and overall strength of the institution into consideration. Then do you have any ideas? Perseus said helplessly, explaining, even if the Orthodox Church really has some plans, but now that the demigods of the Church are not involved, we, the demigods of the Academy, I can only shoot. More than a dozen human city-states have been destroyed. Billions of human lives were lost at the hands of the heirs of the evil god. This is also a great loss for the believers of the righteous gods. Perhaps something has really restrained the righteous gods of the Hakka Church. I wish I was overthinking it. Katerina heard the words, and said with a wry smile, I don't want to think about all this so darkly, but this time we may have to pay a very high price to wipe out the sons of the evil god. Yes, but with the cooperation of several demigods from academia, I don't think it will have much impact. Perseus raised his head slightly, and looked at the sky above the room, the ceiling made of colored glass, and the chandelier. Children of the evil god, this is the first time we have confronted him head-on. That's right, in the past few times even the evil gods tried to use the power of believers to descend into the world, but we and the major churches stopped them in time, but this time they did so without knowing it. Appeared. Quote. Castle. 0 for flowers. The bright lights are like flickering candles. The figure swayed slightly under the swaying lights. In Su Hao's own bedroom, he sat cross-legged, closed his eyes and fell asleep. The elemental power, so thick that it turned into substance, hovered around Su Hao, like the halo of a 9-colored rainbow, flowing around him, and with every breath of Su Hao, it was unconsciously absorbed by the pores of Su Hao's body. penetrating into Su Hao's body. At this time, Su Hao's body, except for the slightly lonely seed of life. Among the already grown 5 sources of magic, 4 sources of magic were born again. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, and darkness. 9 magical sources of different colors, like the composition of all the forces in the world, hovered in Su Hao's body. 0. Like 9 different planets, forming a closed circle, rotating at a certain gentle and fast speed. The 9 elements seem to be taking shape the moment they are formed. Invisibly, a kind of vague connection was born. A special power condenses in the center of the magic source formed by the 9 elements. There is a faint strand, like a gossamer, which will break into 2 if pulled slightly, and at the same time, there is an imperceptible life force, bred in the 9-color light as thin as a gossamer. Can the magic source of the 9 elements also breathe life in a disguised form? Su Hao looked at the body in amazement. The 9-color gossamer with weak vitality seemed to disappear in a flash. Maybe, you can try. Su Hao's mind moved slightly. See, that ray of light that was just born from the gathering of 9 elements, under Su Hao's consciousness, actively floated towards the life seeds outside the source of 9 magics. The moment close to the seed of life. The seed of life seemed to have an unprecedented desire to devour it. It seems that this ray of 9-color light that is close to it is an extremely nourishing and good thing. Buzz. There was a slight boom. The 9 sources of magic in Su Hao's body seemed to be trembling. That moment, the seed of life seems to have opened its huge mouthparts, directly devouring the approaching 9-color light. Like a seed of life, at this moment, a beautiful light flows on its surface. Chapter 99. The ray of light formed by the aggregation of 9 elements melted into the life seed at the moment. Su Hao found out. The seed of his own life seems to have grown a lot. On the surface, there was a slight and imperceptible crack, and it seemed that it would not be long before the existence bred in the seed of life would break out of its shell. At the same time, the power of the 9 elements also began to be born in the life seeds. Unknowingly, part of the elemental power attracted by the source of magic is also quietly absorbed by the life seed. By mistake, I completed the difficult problem that has troubled me for a long time. It won't be long before we can form an interdependent relationship, right? Seeing the life seeds that began to change in his body, Su Hao gave a wry smile. Before, because of the existence of trying to fuse the two. Su Hao did not know how many experiments he did, but he failed to form 2 different substances of 353 into 1. And now, as the magic source of his 9 elements took shape, a ray of power condensed by accident unexpectedly changed the original form of the life seed invisibly. Evolves towards forms that are somewhat in between. Or to put it more clearly, it is the seed of life that belongs to the semi-elemental form. At the same time, not to mention the ability to possess the life seed of a knight extraordinary, it can also fuse magic elements. Even, as it grows, one day it may be able to integrate into the magic source of the 9 elements to form an elemental tree of life. In the information found by Su Hao, the highest evolution form of the seed of life is the tree of life. It is the same as the highest evolutionary form of the source of magic, elemental life. However, there are deviations in specific abilities. But now, the seed of life is already developing towards a semi-elemental form. Perhaps one day, it can replace elemental life and become the only existence of the source of magic. At the same time, outside Su Hao's bedroom door, there was the sound of knocking on the door. Who is it? Su Hao frowned slightly, got up and opened the door. Only to see, Huang Qingyi in pajamas appeared in front of Su Hao. What's the matter? You still can't sleep in the middle of the night. Su Hao raised his eyebrows slightly. It's already past 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's almost 3 o'clock. What is Huang Qingyi going to do when he comes out to knock on his door? Late night passion. Seems pretty good too. However, from the looks of it, Huang Qingyi in front of her didn't have such thoughts. I don't know why, I'm a little irritable, like I'm insomnia. Huang Qingyi said with evasive eyes, looking at her good complexion. It seems that there is no sign of insomnia at all. So you want to sleep with me? Su Hao listened and said with a smile. If you don't mind, I can come with you. I just want to chat with you, to relieve boredom. Huang Qingyi rolled her eyes and looked at Su Hao, and said a little angrily, "Don't you know how to be reserved with a girl? For others, I may be able to handle it, but I still can't handle it for you." Su Hao looked at Huang Qingyi, who rolled his eyes with a wry smile. Even if she rolled her eyes at him, it didn't affect the beauty of Yuanyi. Although the current attire on her body does not conform to the Oriental aesthetics, but Huang Qingyi's face shape and temperament, supported by this Western style, seem to blend the common aesthetics of the East and the West. It doesn't look weird, on the contrary, it becomes more and more attractive. Especially some expressions, it is even more difficult to suppress the evil fire in the heart. In other words, Su Hao, who stayed with Huang Qingyi for a long time, was able to resist the temptation from Huang Qingyi. "Go in and talk, can you?" Huang Qingyi didn't care about Su Hao's words, glanced at the bedroom behind Su Hao, and said, "I happen to have something to talk to you about." "Well, enter Stasano." 11. Without any hesitation, Su Hao nodded his head in agreement and turned away. "Give Huang Qingyi's slender figure away." After Huang Qingyi walked in, Su Hao closed the door smoothly. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The next day, soft sunlight, through the glass of the window, fell on Su Hao's bedroom. The warm heat seemed to scratch the heart and lungs, and Su Hao, who had fallen into a deep sleep and was leaning against the bed, woke up from his deep sleep. "Is it daylight?" Spreading her 5 slender fingers to block her eyes, Su Hao spoke in a daze. Huang Qingyi's beautiful eyebrows trembled slightly, and the moment Su Hao woke up, she turned her sideways. Under the loose pajamas, the looming female shoulder straps appear. The smooth back was like uncut jade, without a trace of blemish. With the sound of rhythmic breathing, Huang Qingyi's back slightly contracted and stretched. "I almost couldn't help it." Su Hao watched with a wry smile. After finishing chatting yesterday, Huang Qingyi fell asleep in his room without knowing it. In a sleepless night, Su Hao seemed to be able to feel the breath of the beautiful woman around him. In the dream, it seems to linger. After all, it was the first time Su Hao had ever slept in the same room as a girl. Especially Huang Xingyi, a stunner who will attract attention wherever she goes. Without thinking too much, Su Hao got up and left the bedroom. His abdomen was already protesting, and he made cooing sounds from time to time. After walking out of the bedroom and washing up, Su Hao came to the long table in the hall. At this time, the servants in the castle had already prepared breakfast for Su Hao and Huang Qingyi. Just waiting for Su Hao and the others to come down to eat. When Su Hao was eating to the point of normal, Huang Qingyi walked down with sleepy eyes. The nightgown on his body has been replaced by a female mage suit. Looking at the loose mage clothes that are actually slim, it uniquely highlights Huang Qingyi's uneven figure. "It's a pity that you didn't do anything to me." Huang Qingyi sat down and came to Su Hao's side, picked up the knife and fork and said to Su Hao jokingly, "If I do something to you, do you want me to marry you when I go back, or kill me?" Su Hao smiled. "Of course I asked you to marry me. Anyway, it's not a loss to marry you." Huang Qingyi said indifferently. "Is it 0.5? Su Hao nodded. "Later, are you going to practice with Katerina?" "Yeah, half a month. However, my strength has also reached the 5th order legendary mage." Huang Qingyi chewed a piece of fresh steak, nodded and said, "Ever since she became Katerina's disciple, she went to Katerina's residence almost every day to receive personal teaching from Katerina. However, because Huang Qingyi is a reincarnated person, Katerina can often draw inferences about many of her teachings, and even Katerina is shocked by certain views. The rest is Su Hao. It is in the academy, practicing alone. But the cultivation base did not slow down at all, even faster. Has become a mythical knight of the 6th rank. Chapter 100. Hello Vice President. I'm not saying that you don't need to call me Vice President when you see me in the future. Call me Teacher Katerina. Yes, Teacher Katerina. In a room as wide as a hall, wall lamps similar to Oriental luminous lamps are lit on the wall, and the faint and inaudible smell of fuel permeates the room. All kinds of exquisite and precious instruments seem to be alive, and they are running on their own, with Su Hao followed beside Huang Qingyi. In front of them was Katerina, the vice president of Saint Laurent Academy. Today's Katerina is wearing a golden black-edged female mage's long robe. Her light black long hair falls like a waterfall, reaching to her waist, and her golden pupils are as dazzling as the sun. In his hand, he was using a microscope-like instrument to decompose a blood sample extracted from some kind of creature. I thought that Mirola would come here alone today, but I didn't expect the students from Lincoln to come too. Katerina stopped what she was doing, moved the instrument of the microscope aside, and stared at Huang Qingyi, who appeared side by side. Su Hao. I came here today because I just wanted to ask teacher Katerina for some advice. Su Hao explained what O2 said. At the same time, his eyes fell on the microscope instrument beside Katerina, and he asked curiously, I don't know what kind of biological blood sample research teacher Katerina is doing. This. Katerina was taken aback. Didn't she come to ask for advice? Soon, Katerina came back to her senses, and said, the research on the blood of the dragon-born bright dragon, I plan to see how to analyze the magic inheritance hidden in the sacred dragon clan. The magic of the ancient race has great significance for human magic. Great inspiration. You can actually get the dragon blood of the sacred dragon family. Su Hao was surprised. No matter what world the dragons are in, as long as they wear the word dragon, they are synonymous with power. However, Katerina was able to get the upper magic race of the Saint Laurent continent, the Holy Dragons. Dragonborn blood samples. If the dragon descendant of the sacred dragon family knows this, wouldn't it be crazy? The dragon clan attaches great importance to the existence of their clansmen. Every dead dragon will be brought back to the clan land by the sacred dragon clan, buried in the dragon nest, and guarded by the powerful superhumans of the dragon clan. How did Katerina get it? I just have a good relationship with a bright dragon, don't think of going anywhere else. Seeing Su Hao's eyes, Katerina seemed to think of Su Hao's psychological activities, and said involuntarily, as for the dragon corpse, no matter how strong I am, I will not rashly offend the dragon clan. Master Katerina, don't worry, I understand. Su Hao nodded knowingly, but she still felt a little curious about Katerina's strength in her heart. She didn't know which stage Katerina's strength would be in sanctuary, angel, or demigod. In short, it will not be the true God and the supreme God. After all, these two realms have truly touched the realm of the gods of the Saint Laurent continent. However, Katerina was able to make friends with a bright dragon of the sacred dragon clan, which was unexpected. Su Chen and Huang Qingyi were surprised. The dragon family, whether it is the dragon family in the east or the west, that is a very proud ethnic group. Except for the same creatures, they rarely take other existences into their eyes. Not to mention, among the sacred dragons, they can be regarded as very powerful bright dragons, and being able to make friends with the bright dragons is enough to show Katerina's strength. Tell me, what questions do you want to ask me? Katerina raised her head slightly, with a smile on her delicate face, and looked at Su Hao. So that's how it is. After Su Hao's explanation, Katerina nodded understandingly. It's not like no one has tried ideas like yours, but they all failed, and even died in the process of trying. As she said that, Katerina looked at Su Hao strangely, and said, however, your all attribute elements are full of affinity, and you can actually neutralize the imbalance between the two. Maybe it's because the 9 elements have passed through your body through magic. After the transformation of the source, a unique power has been formed. That's why your life seeds can appear in a semi-elemental state, and maybe one day, you will be able to create a new path on the Saint Laurent continent. Student Lincoln, if you have any doubts about this in the future, you can come to me at any time. Katerina didn't mind the invitation very much. Su Hao's life seed had a semi-elemental change, which also made Katerina want to study it. This is from a mage professional scholar's thirst and desire for knowledge. If Su Hao's situation can be used to solve the problems that have plagued many extraordinary people in the Saint Laurent continent, this will be one of the opportunities for Katerina to make her name in history. In itself, Katerina's strength and identity are enough to be featured in history books. But no one is stingy, and doesn't want to be ridden with more attention. Then I'll trouble teacher Katerina. Su Hao smiled. Yeah. Katerina nodded, shifted her gaze, and landed on Huang Qingyi. It's been half a month, and Mirola's promotion is beyond my expectations. the 5th level legendary mage. Maybe you will be able to do it soon. Catch up with us. Today, let's first learn how to cast spells in the Thunder Ring formation, and at the same time exercise your ability to use magic. Okay. Huang Qingyi responded lightly. Subsequently, under the guidance of Katerina, Wangqing 450 Yi began to learn the spellcasting method of the Thunder Ring. Su Hao by my side. Because it is the reason for the all-attribute talent. Katerina couldn't avoid Su Hao, and at the same time explained to Su Hao the principle of the Thunder Ring formation and how to use the Thunder Ring formation. The Thunder Ring formation is a range-based attack magic, which requires the caster to construct the existence of the Thunder Ring formation in their minds, and it can only be cast with the help of the affinity with the Thunder attribute element. And among the professions of light elemental priests and mages, there is also a magic similar to the Thunder Ring formation, the Holy Judgment. Basically, the principle of operation is the same. You see clearly. The practice of magic came to an open place. Surrounded by mountains, there are man-made streams and waterfalls. In the middle, there are Katerina, Su Hao, and Huang Qingyi. At this time, Katerina was holding a magic wand that was no different from hers. The wand is like a magic pen, waving in Katerina's hand, and the light elements in the sky and the earth seem to be drawn by Katerina and converge. Above the void, an angel who couldn't see clearly appeared, and the sacred wings behind him spread out, holding an angel's sword in his hand. The divine power that destroys everything and judges everything. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.